Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's video. I wanted to talk to you about spiritual warfare and the narcissist, so let's jump in. The narcissist has lost their soul and their spirit man. That's why when the narcissist comes to you, they siphon and they try to control your soul and your spirit. What they do is the parasite in them, because they were the host for a parasite. And Sam Vakman has spoke on how when the narcissist was a child and either out of being a golden child and required too much and to be too perfect, or through trauma, they had dealt with an imaginary friend. This is what he says. One of the number ones on the platform, and he is one. He said they start dealing with an imaginary friend, and the imaginary friend gets them to sacrifice their true self for the mask, and the imaginary friend becomes the mask. And the imaginary friend is full of energy, enticing to the young child, and just amazing. So they tell them that they will become the mask, and it becomes their God, that it will give them power and control, and it will protect them. And so they go into this covenant where they sacrifice their true self for this false self, the ego, to be the mask for this entity to take over. So now they're in the back seat. And this is what Sam Vakman had talked about, because he was being interviewed about narcissism and being a cult. And it's like a family cult, and it's like just like all cult leaders come out of narcissism. The family unit is run the same way, and outside the home the same as well. That's why they isolate and all these things. But I just want to go over a few things, because when they come to you, they quench your soul and your spirit man. They cut off like your pathway to God. Maybe not completely, but it sure seems like it. And you start to become corrupt like them. First, they will do that love bomb because they cannot love. So they love bomb you to get you to drop your guard. A parasite is going to use the host for supplies and to supply their needs. That's it. When you're getting into narcissism, it is a psychological and a spiritual disorder, or psychospiritual disorder. And a lot of people don't touch on anything spiritual, and it is a form of insanity. Because of the way the narcissist works, they do the same thing and run the same patterns time after time, but they have no ability to reflect. It's going to lead to the same product, the same answers. Insanity is to continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. So they love bomb you because they can't love you, and they do it to drop your guard. They can even pass a lie detector test because they believe what they're saying is true, or they believe that it is okay, that it's normal. Either one is bad. So they traded their true conscience for the false self or the ego, and the ego is here. Now it's like, normally you have your mind, you have your innate self, your spirit man, and then you have your mind, will, and emotions. And it's like your mind and your emotions are kind of like tools to use. And those are the things, they become the tool because they believe their mind is their innate self. They lose their innate self. So they have no true consciousness of self. That's why they cannot self-reflect, because there is nothing to self-reflect on. It's missing. And that's why they always have to wear, the mask is them. It's not them, but that's what they believe is them, period. So whatever they're telling you, whether it's some fantasy or some lie, they believe it. It's hard because they're in an alternate reality. They may be right beside you, but in an alternate reality on a daily basis. And that's why this type of stuff is very crushing to you, because you're sitting there trying to help them, assist them, understand them, and they have these dark spirits in them, the host, running parasitic off of them. And now it's getting to a point to where it's trying to get parasitic onto you. And see, this is what they do. They try to corrupt. A parasite's going to expand. It's trying to expand its reach. So it's going to reach out to you, and you're in more forms of supply to feed. They love bomb you, and it gets you to drop your guard. And as you go into covenant with them, now pulled into ego completely, it gets you to feel a bit of grandiosity in yourself, because they start to pump you up like you should have been treated better, and I'm going to treat you the way you should be treated, and you should have been treated like this all your life, and all this stuff. So you start to feel really good about that situation for a moment in time, and it really pumps your flesh up. It does not help your spirit man, because your spirit man is being cut off. So love bomb pulls you down into your ego yourself, you see, and you're almost being tormented and tortured to the degree of how they were taken down as children. So they're performing the same act that was probably done to them, except they have this parasite in them that is assisting, that is really doing all the work, and they have taken the back seat. So when you say that you can love them to death, a lot of times, and I thought so too, you think you can pour out your love to them, and if they experience love to a certain point, certain degree, that they will change, like this will fix them or something. Maybe they never experienced love to this degree or some to this level, but that won't work because they are heartless. To actually feel or to get to the fruits of the spirit, they only run on the vibration chart or dimensional chart that was drawn up by David Hawkins, the astrophysicist. He did a vibrational chart for humanity, goes 0 to 1,000, and it's pretty spot on. And they can only go from shame is the first number, which is 20. It's the lowest level you could be at in humanity. And they run from shame to where pride is, and then they fall back down to shame. So their cycle is the lowest cycle vibration that you could be on. It's the lowest vibration and the lowest dimension. And above pride, it's interesting because, pride comes before the fall, it talks about. And what comes after shame is courage. They can never get the courage to accept that they have a problem, or they're not perfect, or they're not God status, or they're not grandiose. They shouldn't act like that. It's wrong and it's prideful. They can't. So, but to get to where you're going to feel love is like at a 500. They can never get to courage, which is at a 200. So for you to say you're going to pour out love to them and they're going to get fixed, they are fixed where they are now. So for them to get to the place where they can experience love, they will never get there because they can't get past the 199. And that's because they've already lost themselves. And a lot of things have been shut down that even anatomically, they have no reach. So when you give them love or pour your love into them, or if you pour all your fruits into them, all of your success into them, it gets driven through their factory of evil, and it starts to come out in different evil ways. Their power, they don't experience love and peace and joy, and they can't take your energy and do that. They take your energy of love and peace and joy, and they convert it to seducing, you see, to taking people down, to destroying and having control and power over people. So that's how they run it through their factory. So when you fuel them, you're wasting your time. In fact, you're hurting only yourself, because they're draining you, and then they're taking your own fuel and destroying you with it and others. And then you have to reap the negative harvest for that because you consented to giving it to evildoer. So it's all bad for you. And this is kind of what happens. So they really take you out of your spirit man and get you into your ego. And then you start to, at some point, after you get devalued and discarded, you get to a point to where you're chasing them and you're trying to convince them you're not what they think you are. So then in ego, you have the ability to start to accumulate things and operate the way you think they would want you to be, you see, so that you could be more enticing to them. That brings you into complete ego. And you cannot help yourself when you're in ego. So you're really getting stuck yourself. And then as you chase them, it gets worse because they hate you more, because anytime that you love them or chase them, they hate you and run from you. So you're making it 10 times worse by even talking to them. That's why no contact does a couple of things. It helps you to heal from those spells they put on you and the manipulations that they're hitting you with when they do speak with you, because it's destroying all of your good pathways, and it's getting you confused and upside down yourself, because they're backwards, upside down, and inside out, just like the enemy. And so they're doing that to you whenever they do speak with you. So no contact is for you to heal. But at the same time, what runs synonymous with that, or tandem with that, is that the narcissist starts to chase you. Unfortunately, this is when you don't want it, because you're trying to heal, but then they almost think that you're playing their own game on them, because they go silent treatment on you, but that's not what you're doing. You're just trying to stay away and heal and to rest and to clear all of this negativity out of your life and get back to things normal. and to stop all of this up and down and hot and cold, that addiction they have, the trauma bond. Well, they start to chase you because you're not chasing them. And when you don't chase them, then they chase you. They feel like you're abandoning them because they don't have attachment. They don't have the ability to attach to you. That's why they say they link up and cord up and they put their hooks in you. But at the same time, they cannot detach. That's why they have a harem of exes. And that's why when you stop talking to them, they can't wait to talk to you because they have a detachment disorder through their abandonment issues. Part of their problem is they look at everything in black and white. And so everything's good or bad. You can't be a good person, but do bad things or mess up. You're either all perfect or all evil. And they also see themselves like that. When a person looks at themselves as being perfect, then they don't leave the opportunity for repentance. They don't leave the opportunity to apologize, and it's just not in them to forgive, to apologize, and to repent. And these are all things that lead you to goodness and godliness. And they just have no ability to do it. And because they have no true self, and the mask is now what they believe is them. That's why they're always running forward. In my opinion, if you were to see them in the spirit realm, or if you feel their energy, they're always running forward, away from their body, is my point. To where we have the ability to stop, and we're firmly planted, and because we have a true self. And I feel like because they have this false self, they have nothing in here. They're always running towards validation. They're running towards the answers because they're not going to be in here, because what's in here in their life, in their body, is the parasite. So they're always chasing this validation. They're chasing all of the things that are good and bad, maybe, because they are always devising evil, and that's all they can do now. But they're always chasing something, and they're very impulsive. They're impulsive. Well, they're impulsive because they don't have a true self. So anything that gets them off their mind is going to be a fix for them in the interim. And that's all they're doing. They're always running in the interim. Like, they're in the moment, really. And their false self, they never did develop. And they never did develop to their true consciousness. I mean, I think maybe because they are taken over at such an early age, they really don't get to a point to where their true consciousness is even available to them. It's because if you're under 5 years old, I mean, how much true consciousness do you have? And this is when everything's being cultivated, the fruits of the spirit and everything: love, joy, peace, kindness, goodness, gentleness, understanding of who you are. And they never got there. It's like, that's why they have arrested development. That's why when you see them act, a lot of times you'll see these childlike behaviors, like a tantrum if you don't do what they want. And the silent treatment, instead of like going over the issues that are at hand and dealing with them. So they can't advance spiritually, and they cannot advance psychologically. They actually go backwards and regress. They're driven by shame because their ego is destructive and self-destructive as well. Their true self was sacrificed for their false self, and always pushing forward because there's nothing in there. Deteriorated and descending and degressing is all they can do. If you question the mask, then you're questioning what they believe is their innate self. And so it becomes a narcissist injury, and you have to pay for that. They're obsessed with the mask because the mask is their God. All authority and all obedience is to the mask. They protect the mask because the mask, they believe, protects them and gives them power and control and supply. But it's like they have to siphon off your emotions and your soul and your mind because they don't have it. So siphoning it from you gives them the ability to operate in some of these traits. To have some of these, when they fake the emotion, that it looks real because they took your emotional energy. And when they operate in these traits, they are trying to become you and start to become you as you become them, because you're flipping that energy with them. But it's like when they think things and do things and act and operate in your mannerisms with your emotional energy and your mindful energy. It's like they can actually make things manifest almost real for them to get new supply. So it does empowers them, and it probably makes them feel somewhat whole, maybe for a little while, because they're actually getting, their body is getting filled with energy that it should have all the time. And so I could see how they can get addicted to that. Because if you're lacking something very much so, and then you get filled with it, and it's something that you should innately have, then you could get to where you're addicted to it and have to chase it. But then they become addicted drug addicts for supply. So there is no commitment and loyalty. There's nothing good. And that's why they will lie to you just to get fuel from you, steal your energy, use you, throw you away like a piece of trash, and then move on to the next one, have multiple relationships going at one time. But that's all. They're basically in the back seat and being used by the parasite that's driving the ship. And it has taken over, and they're used as a tool, because the mind is technically should be used as a tool by your spirit man and through your true self. And so they have been hijacked permanently, and they try to hijack you permanently. So if you can give me a like, subscription, and a thumbs up, love y'all till next time. Peace be out.